Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Raccoon Den. Week 178 is upon us, and in this video, we're going to talk about what happened in the world of Toronto real estate last week, as we do week over week over week, from Sunday to Saturday of the prior week, just to make sure, and I wait until Tuesday to run the numbers to make sure that, agents are a little bit lazy reporting data sometimes. So I wait until Tuesday to make sure the dust is settled on all the sales, and then we run the numbers. And the reason I do this weekly, and I have been doing this for 178 weeks in a row, like practically 3 years of data here we have now. In fact, we have more than 3 years of data now. Has really helped me and the spring team here at the Raccoon Den really understand the market at the ultimate level that we need to in order to advise our clients at the best possible, in the best possible way. So what all of that means is, like this past week, what I saw was not very different than what we saw exactly this time last year, and only slightly different than what we saw in August of 2020, when we were kind of just figuring out how to be normal after the initial stages of COVID kind of smacked the shit out of us at the beginning. So I linked those past three market reports below, in the actual article for this week. In the first paragraph, you'll see the links to the previous 3 years. And I take a lot of comfort in the fact that looking back to last year, basically we have very similar numbers across the board in terms of sales, average price, inventory. We actually have lower supply right now than we did last year. August is when things started to turn last year. When heading into the absolute pit of the market that we ended up in into Christmas, like August is when that really started to happen. And right now we haven't seen any major change week over week for this year to signal some sort of massive, falling off a cliff moment where all of a sudden sales are zero and properties just aren't selling, etc. So and you should take a lot of comfort in this too, that what's happening right now is what happened last year and is basically what happened 3 years ago in August of 2020, with the exception of condo sales. 3 years ago, there were 700 fewer listings on the market in terms of condos. And there were 3 times the sales. But last year, condo sales and inventory were pretty much at par with where they are right now. So we've been watching condo supply for a few weeks now. And this week, as well as last week, we didn't have a surge of supply there, which is really, really good. And it's also nice to see sales continue to chug along there, because we haven't really seen any major price adjustments in condo land, but not to mention, not to discount the opportunities available in the assignment world, where deals are being sold once again at below the original purchase price, or at the original purchase price minus the realtor commissions, which bring it below the original purchase price. So there are folks leaving some deposit money on the table in the assignment world in condos, but condo resales, places you buy for yourself to live or to buy to rent out, those are still selling despite the added inventory. They're just sitting on the market a little bit longer, but let's not forget that it's August. People tend to chill in August. So it's not a new phenomenon that people relax in the summertime. And that is one of the big reasons why we're, in my opinion, seeing a relatively significant swing in average price for houses in the urban communities, and very little activity in that north urban luxury market. We're not seeing as much activity in those higher price points. So it's bringing the average price down, because there's still some activity in 2 million or under, but that $2+ million price range seems to have cooled off quite a bit, and cooled off in terms of sales, but not necessarily in terms of interest, because we do have a number of clients that are looking for that sort of product. They're just not around right now. And so I feel like that will kind of normalize as we head into the fall market, as more of that buyer comes back from whatever they're doing right now. So again, nothing too exciting to report in that world. We have this survey that was released last week by the Bank of Canada, surveying all the major participants in the banking world, and came up with the overall overwhelming consensus that they all believe that rates will not be increasing in 2023 anymore, which goes against that, some banks actively pricing in that quarter point increase in September. But remember, like a lot of people are using this study to kind of say, hey, look, rate hikes are over. But the Bank of Canada did the same survey in April and came up with the same result, and well, we did have another increase. So there's really no substitute for listening to what the Bank of Canada has to say based on current market conditions, and they're only going to know that in September ahead of the rate hike. So I find it funny that the Bank of Canada even releases that takes the time to do this survey. Because like the Bank of Canada is the one that makes this decision about whether rates are going to go up or not based on how the economy is performing and whether it meets certain criteria for an increase. But then they're asking the sort of subjects of the increase, the banks, to weigh in on whether there will be one. It's sort of a strange scenario, and I don't know why it happens. And I think it happens specifically to confuse people, to just mess with our heads. Why? I don't know. But the Bank of Canada really, I don't understand why this survey even exists. So there's no way to tell what's going to happen in September. Will there be an increase? Will there not be an increase? Honestly, I don't fucking know. Do you? If you know, tell me. So what happens if there is an increase? What do you think? If there is an increase, it's going to screw a lot of people. But remember, we said this last week, like the Bank of Canada's role in this to prevent, whatever catastrophic recession, depression we're talking about here, is to create pain. And what does pain mean? Well, pain means people have to sell their homes. Pain means people are having to walk away from all kinds of money in their investments. Pain means not being able to maintain employees and employment rates going up. Like these are the goals of all these measures. Let's not forget that, right? Like the pain has to happen. And what we have all failed to realize, what we have all failed to pay attention to is the lag from the rate increase to the effect. Like these effects won't be felt for a long time, just like we're seeing today. Most people are like, oh, rates are rising, but I'm cool. Oh, wait, trigger rate is hit. Damn, now my rates are up 57% or 67% or 70% or 100%, whatever it is. Like it takes a while for us to feel the effects of a lot of these measures. So that's one thing that I've been super conscious of lately is making sure that I don't jump to any sort of conclusion based on something that's happened today. But one thing that we do know is that buyers buy and they buy well, or they buy with big money when they are certain about the market. And there's so much uncertainty right now, and that's prevented a lot of buyers from pulling the trigger. It's removed a ton of buyers from the market. Imagine having to qualify for a mortgage at 8+%, including the stress test. Like that's a huge swing from having to qualify from like, let's say a 0.99% like a year and a half ago. Like a 0.99 plus the stress test had you qualifying at 1 year ago rates, which is obscene. But also imagine that there are people today buying at very similar prices to that time with these higher rates, with these higher payments. So let's not get things twisted. People are making these financial decisions today, and they are able to follow through on these purchases and these massive payments that come along with $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 million homes that are leveraged at whatever loan to value they are. So people are still able to do this, and regardless of what your financial position might be, it's not an indicator of how the majority of the market is still feeling and transacting. So one thing that I'm very conscious of, and you should be too, is not to project your own situation on the market as a whole, and to really try and understand what is actually happening out there without taking your dumpster fire and applying it to the rest of the market, which we're all guilty of. These silos that we live in, it's like, oh, this is happening to me, it must be happening to everybody. It's really just not real. So people will be able to react to these changes very, very differently. Some will be able to handle it, most will be able to handle it, and some will not. But it's also a really great reminder to look back at some decisions that were made. And I wrote about this very openly this week as well. I was on a very extreme high from 2 ridiculously successful years And we're generally very successful anyway, but these two were exceptionally successful years where people were just transacting all over the place. Money was just flowing in. So, I was making purchases, I was making family lifestyle decisions. But honestly, this moment now has really helped me realize that, during those times, it's not really time to spend, it's a time to save, and it's a time to really prepare for times like this, because these times will come. These ebbs and flows will always come. My goal is to create a business that doesn't ebb and flow, is to be as consistent as possible. But that's always going to be a work in progress. This lesson that I have learned and a lot of my clients have learned is to just, be a little bit more careful during times of what's the word I'm looking for? Times of when you're flush, you know what I mean? So the good news is, I have a lot of great people in place to advise me, to help, to, point me in the right direction. I am that for a lot of our clients as well. And I'm going to make it work. And it's stressful as hell being in this environment right now with all of these obligations. But it's also one that, I take a lot of comfort in knowing that I can handle it. I have people around me that can help me handle it. And I know a lot of people are in a very similar position as well. So I'm pretty excited about what the future holds. Not so excited about right now because it's pretty painful for a lot of people. But I firmly believe that we will be heading into a 2024 that will be a lot different than 2023. I think 2024 will be a balance between how we started off this year and something a little bit calmer than that as well. I think that a lot of people have learned their lesson. I think that a lot of people will be more cautious going forward. But hey, humans will always human. Fast forward a couple of years and the frenzy will probably begin again. Is that a couple of years from now? Is it a year from now? Is it 6 months from now? Yet to be seen. As you know, I'm done with predictions. I am just going to report on the market as I see it. I'm not going to lie. This is probably one of my weaker market reports. And if you don't think so, cool. I'd love to hear hear your comments below. But I got a lot of work to do today. So I'm going to stop right there. 12 minutes. Hopefully you got something out of this today. Please subscribe. And we are actively hiring real estate agents right now. For our Toronto, our east, which includes like Peterborough, Millbrook, the Kawartha areas, as well as the Hamilton area. So if you are a realtor in those areas, please reach out and let's talk. Brand new realtors, not too excited about at this point, looking for some people with some experience. So please reach out if you have that. But if you're brand new and you feel like you can, impress us, give us a call. Links down there as well for that. So thanks so much for your attention. I will see you next week and peace out.